I never believed in love at first sight. Not the kind you see in movies where everything slows down and music suddenly plays in the background. I thought love was something that grew quietly, like rice in the fields back home, planted without ceremony. Watered by time and harvested only by those patient enough to wait. But the first time I saw her, something inside me shifted. It was a late afternoon in our small town in the Philippines, the kind where the sun doesn't just set, it lingers. The sky was painted in soft orange and pink, and the air smelled faintly of dust, grass, and someone's cooking dinner nearby. I was 17 then, young enough to believe I knew everything, foolish enough to think I'd never fall as hard as I eventually did. She was standing near the basketball court laughing, not the polite kind of laugh people use when they're trying to be nice, but the kind that bursts out without permission, kind that makes other people look over just to see what caused it. She had her hair tied loosely, strands falling freely around her face. And she kept brushing them away, as if they refused to stay in place. I didn't know her name yet. I didn't know her story. But somehow, in that moment, it felt like I had been waiting for her all my life. We were introduced by chance, one of those coincidences that don't feel accidental when you look back. A mutual friend called me over and suddenly she was there, standing in front of me, smiling nervously, her eyes curious but gentle. "Hi," she said. "Hi," I replied, hoping she couldn't hear how fast my heart was beating. We talked about nothing important at first. School, music, how hot it was that day. But beneath every ordinary word was something unspoken, something slowly pulling us closer. I remember thinking how her voice sounded softer when she spoke quietly, and how her eyes seemed to linger just a second longer than necessary when she looked at me. We were just kids when we fell in love, didn't know what it was. We started seeing each other almost every day. Walks home after school turned into hours-long conversations. We shared street food under flickering lights, laughed over cheap iced coffee, and sat on sidewalks talking about dreams that felt impossibly big at the time. She told me she wanted a simple life, one filled with love, peace, and family. I told her I wanted to be someone worth loving. She smiled at that, as if she already believed I was. Sometimes, when the evening grew quiet, we'd sit on the grass near her house, shoes forgotten somewhere beside us, listening to songs playing from my phone. The world would fade into the background, the hum of tricycles, the distant barking of dogs, the gentle breeze carrying the scent of rain. One night, a song played softly between us. She leaned her head on my shoulder, and for a moment, neither of us moved. "Sorry," she said suddenly, adjusting herself. "I probably look a mess." Without thinking, I whispered, "You look perfect." I didn't mean to say it out loud, but she heard it. She looked up at me, eyes wide, cheeks flushed. And in that second, I knew whatever this was, it wasn't ordinary. That night I walked home feeling lighter than air. I replayed every moment, every word, every smile. I didn't know then that love wasn't just about happiness, that it would demand patience, sacrifice, and strength. All I knew was that I didn't want to let go. As weeks turned into months, our bond deepened. We shared secrets no one else knew. I told her about my fears of failing, of not being enough, of losing people I loved. She told me about her doubts, her quiet struggles, the pressure she carried without letting the world see. "I trust you," she said once, her voice barely above a whisper. That sentence changed me. I realized then that love wasn't just about holding hands or stolen kisses under the stars. It was about choosing someone every day, even when the future was uncertain. We made promises that only young lovers dare to make. Promises about staying together, about growing old side by side, about facing whatever life threw at us. We didn't know how hard it would get, but we believed. And in her eyes, I saw something I had never seen before. Future. Unclear, fragile, and far away but real. I didn't know it then, but that innocent love, born on warm evenings and quiet conversations, was only the beginning. Because loving her would mean fighting against all odds. Love, I learned, does not stay gentle forever. As the years passed, life slowly began to demand more from us. School ended, responsibilities grew heavier, and dreams started knocking louder than our hearts were ready for. We were still young, still in love, but suddenly love was no longer the only thing that mattered. She went to college in the city, stayed behind, trying to build something from nothing. Distance crept in quietly at first. Calls became shorter. Messages were sometimes left unread, not because we didn't care, but because life refused to slow down for us. There were nights I stared at my phone, wondering if love alone could survive everything else pulling us apart. We argued, not loudly, but painfully. About time, about priorities, about the future we once spoke of so confidently. There were moments I feared I was losing her not to another person, but to a world that demanded more than I could give at the time. One night, during a rare visit home, we sat across from each other in silence. "Do you still see me in your future?" she finally asked. I reached for her hand, holding it tightly. "I see my entire future in your eyes," I said. "Even when I'm afraid." Tears filled her eyes, not of sadness, but of exhaustion. We were fighting battles no one prepared us for. But even then, something inside us refused to let go. We chose each other again. Not because it was easy, but because love worth keeping never is. Time tested us, shaped us, and slowly, quietly made us stronger. We grew into ourselves. She became the woman she dreamed of being: strong, compassionate, unafraid to stand on her own. I became a man who learned that love means sacrifice, patience, and choosing the same person even on the hardest days. When we finally built a place to call home, small, imperfect, but ours, I realized love wasn't about grand gestures anymore. It was about shared silence, tired smiles, and holding hands after long days. One evening, as music played softly and the lights dimmed, I held her close. We stood barefoot on the floor, swaying gently, the world outside forgotten. "This is my favorite song," she said quietly. "So is this moment," I replied. I knew then I had found a love stronger than fear. A love that carried dreams, secrets, and hope. I asked her to marry me. I didn't prepare a long speech. I only told the truth. Found a love I want to carry for the rest of my life. "Will you share it with me?" She said yes through tears, laughter, and trembling hands. On our wedding day, as she walked toward me, everything else disappeared. The noise, the crowd, the years that led us there. All I saw was her. She wore a simple dress, glowing not because of fabric or makeup, but because love had shaped her into something breathtaking. I felt unworthy and endlessly grateful. "You look perfect," I whispered. And this time, she didn't doubt it. Life after marriage was not a fairy tale, but it was real. We built a family. We raised children who carried pieces of us in their laughter and stubbornness. We faced storms, losses, and moments that tested everything we believed in. But even then, especially then, we danced. In the kitchen, in the living room, the quiet hours, when the world felt heavy. Years later, as we stood together once more, older now, lines etched gently by time, music played softly in the background. I held her close, just like I did when we were kids, barefoot in the dark, with her between my arms. I looked at her and understood something clearly at last. Love doesn't fade when it's real. It deepens, it endures, it becomes home. And as long as I live, I will always whisper the same truth, darling. You look perfect tonight. Love is not an accident. It is a gift placed gently into our lives at the right moment by hands far greater than our own. Every meeting has meaning, every season has purpose, every love that teaches us patience, forgiveness, and sacrifice is shaping us into who we are meant to become. Sometimes love asks us to wait. Sometimes it asks us to fight. And sometimes it simply asks us to trust even when we do not understand the path ahead. If this story speaks to your heart, remember this: what is meant for you will not pass you by. What is guided by faith will find its way home. And love, when rooted in grace, will always endure. May you find a love that brings you closer not only to another soul, but also to peace, purpose, and hope. Thank you for staying until the end. May love true and faithful meet you exactly where you are.